If I knew this when I started gardening, I would have saved so much time and so much money. Welcome everybody to Vlogmas. I am super excited. We are continuing our journey, which is my gift from me to you. Thanksgiving through Christmas, Monday through Friday. I am doing lots of bonus videos answering your questions, and great questions, lots of great questions. And if your question hasn't been answered yet, don't worry. I'm gonna actually also be doing roundup videos where I try to answer a lot of questions in a video. And today we're gonna do Mel Mar's question. She wrote, first, you're an amazing person. Aw. I genuinely learn while having fun watching your videos. Second, though we all have a learning curve to achieve, is there a specific tip or piece of knowledge you would have used early in this process? What tidbit gets you really excited? Thank you again for your hard work in producing these videos. Oh, thanks, Melma. That's so sweet. So I started thinking about, if I knew this when I started, this would have helped me oodles and oodles. And it makes me laugh because I honestly think, I don't know what's wrong with us Floridians. It's like we lose our brains when we start gardening. At least looking back, that's definitely what happened with me. And I feel like talking to a lot of you through the comments, a lot of you have had this problem too. So if I were starting again today, the first thing I would focus on as a Florida gardener is learning our seasons, actually understanding Florida seasons, because I feel like so many of us trip up and fail and kill plants just from this basic thought. And a lot of people are like, what do you mean? What do you mean know our seasons? Everybody knows the seasons. Do you? Do you know the seasons? And here's why. I've grown up here. I've lived here 30 something years. It's crazy. Even the other, like last year, my kiddo comes home, this little 4-wheel chart of the seasons, right? And it shows spring's flowers, summer's the little sunshine with the sunglasses on, fall, the leaves are falling, and then winter's the snow. And I just was like, I wanted to go to school and be like, what is wrong with you people? Why are you teaching these seasons? These are not Florida seasons. This is like New York seasons and Chicago seasons and like, but it's not here. And that's why I think we all trip up. We're like, oh, I want a garden. So we go and we look up like Laura on Garden Answer up in Washington, or we look up Luke and my gardener up in Michigan, or Jane Prigioni over in New Jersey, or right, Roots and Refuge down in Kentucky. Like, they don't have the same seasons as us. When they're doing stuff is not when we do stuff. What they're dealing with is not what we deal with. And we just go cuckoo cuckoo. I don't know what's wrong with us. We get silly. We get super silly. And then we go down a journey of like, like I did, which was like, I planned this all. Maybe I'm not a good gardener. No, you planted it at the wrong time of year. That's it. That's your problem. It's one of the biggest problems I see with a lot of Floridians. We're just planting stuff at the absolute wrong time of year. So let's talk about what the right time of year is. And let's remind ourselves of Florida seasons. Because I know a lot of people who've recently moved here, or I know a lot of Floridians joke about we don't have seasons. And we do have seasons. Don't be silly like that. They're not the northern seasons. But then again, especially for all of y'all who moved down here, can I just like, for all y'all who moved down here, you move to the subtropics and then you're shocked that the leaves don't fall. Come on now. Like, you move here for palm trees and then are shocked and go like, well, we really don't have seasons. Yes, we do. We don't have the seasons where palm trees don't grow. You have Christmas trees that grow up there. We don't. We have palm trees, but we do have seasons. So stop that. So what are our seasons? Let's start with the season that is the most different from the northern places, and that is winter? No, summer. Summer is different than what most northerners deal with, right? It is the time of year that the ones who have 2 homes go away from here because they're like, ugh, I don't want to deal with this, right? Because what is Florida's summer? Is it the little, sun with the sunglasses on? Is it the Sunshine State in the summer? No, summer's super cloudy. Summer is the time of year when all the storms come, right? We all know this. Those of us who've lived here a long time, right? Afternoon storms every day, like clockwork, right? You could like time your watch on it because we got the water from the Atlantic, we got the water from the Gulf, and we got all the water in the Everglades and every canal and every other body of water around here because there's a lot of water in Florida just heating up and going to the sky. And then about the afternoon, the clouds are like, I can't hold all this. And it goes all over, right? And then we get big booms and we lose power because like some generator blew, right? We like, you know this, and it's hot and it's humid and the sun is so intense that even though you live here year round and you were okay only putting on a little bit of suntan lotion other times of year, you burn immediately in the summer because the sun is so intense because we're that close to the equator. That's summer. It's hot, it's humid, and we've got massively intense sun, right? That's summer. What about spring? Spring is sunny, but we don't have the clearest skies. We start to get rain, but it's very dry. It's very, very dry in the summertime, which is why often starting plants can be kind of like a catch-22 because we think about the summer and how rainy it is, but we forget that we haven't gotten very much rain in spring. And our aquifers are low, our lakes are low, our canals are low, all the water is just really low and it's just dry out. And you know what happens a lot in spring? Is it the spring bloom? Yeah, we get flowers. The native flowers will be blooming. But the big thing that happens in spring is fires. Florida's burn season. That's when fires usually start because you get your first storms and then the lightning hits, and we all should know Florida is the #1 state for lightning strikes. That's right. And then we start catching on fire. And then the firefighters go racing out, or we have control burns and stuff like that. So spring's a fire season, and it's not hot, but it's warm. And we go from not having a lot of humidity to having a lot of humidity as everything starts to heat up. The water that we do have and left on the ground is heating up, and my hair starts not to look very cute. But then we go to winter, right? Winter is that time of year where this was when many of you or your parents or your grandparents, this is the time of year that they came here and they went, you know what? I could live here. Right? It doesn't snow, but this is when our skies are the clearest. It's dry still. The humidity's down. The weather's really nice. We do get some freezing days, but there's not very common. The people in North Florida get more. The people in South Florida are like, it's 50, I'm dying. And I can make fun of that because I grew up in South Florida, and when it would hit anything below 65, full hat, scarf, winter jacket, gloves, I don't care. I'm dying. I'm dying from hypothermia. It's so cold. But most of the season's really nice. It's cool out. A bunch of snowbirds come down, some that are literal birds and some that are people, and they all hang out and they go like, oh, this is a great place, let me move here. And then they get really upset when summer happens. But this is also the time of year when you're gonna see leaves fall on plants, right? When we get those cold snaps, the trees are gonna be like, I didn't like that. You drop them. We don't get snow. We can, but it's very statistically unlikely. We will get a couple frosts here and there, and all the orange growers will be like freaking out, and so that we don't impact the orange crop. And that's what happens in winter. And then fall. Fall is the time of year where we're going from the monsoon season into the dry season. But unlike in summer where we kind of had that clockwork rain, we go like a whole week with no rain, and like if there's nothing on the forecast, and they'll be like, oh, a 10% chance of rain on Friday. And it's like the environment's like, I didn't rain all week. And then you get 9 inches of rain. And then your yard's a swamp. Early fall is the time of year your yard is most likely to become a swamp. That August, September time period. Every year I get caught off guard. It's like, boom, 5 inches fell. But also fall is the time of year when we're most likely to get hit by a hurricane. Or a tropical storm or a tropical depression. August, September, kind of the big months for it. And that's when we usually get the big storms if we're gonna get them. But even if we don't get them, we're gonna have really erratic rain, but when we get it, we get way too much, and then we don't get any for a while. Those are our seasons. So don't tell me we don't have seasons. We have seasons. And you might say, well, you know, up north, the flowers bloom and the birds come. Yeah, the birds come here. The birds come here in fall. They leave y'all up north, right? When you lived up north, it got cold and gross, and they all came down here and they hang out here. And then in the spring, when we do have flowers that are blooming, they're heading back north, and it's what it is. So we have seasons. They're just really different, and you have to understand those, because then when you listen to people who live up north and they say plant your seeds for lettuce in April or late March, it's like too late at that point, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm a bad gardener because my lettuce all got eaten by pests. Well, I mean, you should have planted in winter. That's really what you should have done. So that's the thing, I think, that a lot of Florida gardeners, if they knew the seasons, if they remembered that our seasons are different. And so what does that translate into plant-wise? So for vegetables, that means your main growing seasons fall through spring. But unlike up north, your seasons are spring, summer, and fall for growing, right? And that means cold weather crops, warm weather crops, cold weather crops. That's kind of what they do. For us, it's different. Yes, it's fall through spring, but also it's warm weather crops, cold weather crops, warm weather crops, which makes sense because what is Florida? Warm, of course, right? So you do most of your vegetable gardening fall through spring, and then if you want to, but I wouldn't when you're a beginner, is you could actually vegetable garden all year round because you can do hot weather crops. This is like loofahs and sweet potatoes, and you got a bunch of tropical vegetables that you can do. So, but I would say in your first years, I wouldn't do it because they're so different than your classic crops that you're used to that there's a huge learning curve. So I would stick with your classic crops through the normal season and then take a break. Because I think that's one of the overwhelming things in Florida is you can grow food all year round. So you never have a natural break, and summer tends to get very out of control with a lot of plants. So I think you should just rest it the first few years while you get used to the other seasons. But of course, then tropical plants you can grow from basically spring through fall, and then depending on what they are, you kind of got to figure out which. If you take them out for the winter, you got to do some winter protection, or if your area actually can make it through winter. But you know, you got your bananas, your papayas, your sweet potatoes, those kind of things. And then of course, native plants you can grow year round. So I don't like to say flower gardening because people think of just stuff from Home Depot and Lowe's, and while they sell you lots of stuff, as we discussed in another video, and many people agreed, a lot of their flowers just were a waste of money from theirs. But your native flowers, you got stuff that's blooming all year round. So you're gonna get, but the huge amount of blooms are gonna be spring through fall. But there are things that grow through winter and actually bloom, like my climbing aster, looking gorgeous right now. So I would say lots of good things. So understanding your seasons is one of the first ways to not to get tripped up. And if you're new and you're watching this and you're like, that feels like a lot to keep track of, you can get your free seasonal gardening guide from www.wildfloridian.net/guide. It's totally free. And it has basically each season with tips for vegetables and native plants and just general tips. So all this stuff I just told you, you can just do that, and then you can plan out your own thing for each season. So that'll be the big thing. And then one tidbit that got me excited, I would say what gets me excited is I'm hearing more and more people earlier in their journey starting to get into native plants, and I think that's really awesome. One, because people are getting into butterfly gardening a little bit earlier, and Florida is the best state for butterfly gardening. We have an insane amount of butterflies here, and we are one of the locations that many northern butterflies migrate to. So if you move down here and migrated from the north, some of your butterflies are heading this way. So having food for them and a garden for them is really cool. That's one thing. The other thing is that if you want to just focus on vegetable gardening, if you include certain native wildflower plants, you can actually increase your yields, reduce your pests, and do really good things. We talked about this a little bit in one of the other videos, but there are certain native plants that I think people are really sleeping on. They should consider adding. I was really excited. Some of you were like, 2023, I'm going to be focusing on adding native bees and stuff like that. Some of these native plants to get more native bees to help you with your yields. And I'm excited for you because I think you're going to see some big differences. These plants are powerhouses. Like right now, my climbing aster is covered with bees. It is crazy how many bees are over there right now. It's crazy. Like, it's loud. It's crazy loud. So that's one of my tidbits I think is very exciting, is that I think a lot of people are getting into native plants a little bit earlier in their journey, and I think they're seeing some of the benefits, and that has me really excited. And there's some videos that are going to come out this coming year that I'm going to be showing some of the observations I've had that are going to be, I think, pretty cool. I think are really exciting, but I'm not going to share them yet because I want to be able to show you guys more of it, and this isn't the season for showing it. Thank you again to Melmar for asking such a wonderful question. And if you have a question that you would like to be answered during this fabulous Vlogmas time, please go ahead and put it down below. Even if I can't answer it as a single question, I'm going to try to do a bunch of roundup videos where I hit a lot of questions. And look forward to these Monday through Friday all the way until Christmas. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.